I can understand that a lot of people would see that reported £10 million cost as disproportionate because it's not something that was awarded to Edward Heath or to Jim Callaghan, who died in recent years. But I think from a Scottish Government's perspective, it's important that we attend the funeral, that I do on behalf of the people of Scotland, and do so properly because that is the right thing to do in terms of the funeral. But I can well understand why many people would see that sort of cost as disproportionate.
Some people in Scotland who feel that her policies damaged them, their families and their communities, it appears they're planning to have some sort of a celebration. What's your message to them?
Well, I don't think people should celebrate anybody's death. And the perspective I have, you shouldn't do that. And I would say people shouldn't celebrate anybody's passing. But people are entitled, absolutely entitled, to put forward their point of view and to put forward the points where they disagreed with Margaret Thatcher's policies. Ironically, of course, I disagree with Margaret Thatcher's economic policies, but in some ways it was her social policies in particular that set the ball rolling for a renewed vigour to have a Scottish Parliament. In some senses, that overwhelming desire among people in Scotland to escape from the economic and social bedlam of the 1980s was actually the result of the approach that Margaret. It wasn't an intended consequence, but nonetheless it was an important consequence. She set the ball rolling to make Scottish self-government a huge priority, and that ball is still rolling fast now. So in that respect, people should reflect that in some ways she was the handmaiden of a return to Scottish democracy. Not what she intended, but nonetheless what happened.
So is there a sense in which she was something of a gift to opposition politicians during her time, including the SNP?
Well, she wasn't a gift in the sense that, I would argue that many of her policies were extremely divisive. And therefore, when you have divisive policies, people suffer, and sometimes suffer unnecessarily. Hence, much of that resentment is still alive so many years later. But nonetheless, in terms of people evaluate what changed between 1979, when there was a narrow vote in favour of a parliament, and 1997, when there was an overwhelming vote for a parliament, then one of the answers to that question is what changed was people realising that if they were to avoid such a policy agenda again, then they better get a democratic parliament in Scotland. And that momentum is still with us.